Southwest is an airline admired by many people for many reasons, but at least among aviation enthusiasts, one reason in particular grabs their attention. Southwest has 16 aircraft painted in special liveries, most of which are dedicated to specific states. On today's flight from Albany to Chicago, we're flying on California One, a 737-800 painted in a special livery honoring the Golden State. And yes, we are flying back to Chicago, but not O'Hare like usual. No, we're actually flying to the other airport for the first time in 20 years. So with that said, let's get to the airport and fly back home. Good afternoon from New York's Capital Region, as I'm arriving at Albany International Airport about 2 hours before my flight. It's been a little over a year since my last visit to Albany. Despite that, the airport has changed quite a bit, as shortly after I visited in September 2023, construction on the new terminal expansion began in December. The expansion is a massive undertaking, and the airport got a crazy $60 million state grant to assist with it. Construction will last into 2026 and will include an expanded security checkpoint opening by mid-2025 and 2 new gates in Concourse A opening by the summer of 2026. Even without the expansion, Albany is a really nice airport to fly from and one of my favorites, given it's really clean and easy to get around. One of my favorite features of the airport is the business center that's open to all passengers to use free of charge. I also appreciate that there's a meditation and reflection room, which is something you normally see at the bigger hub airports. There's also a conference room, and though it may seem otherwise, all of these office cubicles are actually public workstations that you can use. Although be aware, some cubicles are missing chairs entirely. Albany Airport is divided into 3 concourses, A, B, and C, and the walkway to Concourse A is lined with various history and art exhibits. I don't remember seeing this before, but this exhibit, Traveling Landscapes by Kathleen Vance, was especially worth highlighting because it consists of multiple suitcases with landscape dioramas inside them, like full-on 3D details with the greenery and even running water in one of them. Now, going back to the terminal expansion, the only airside portion that I understand will be expanded is here at Concourse A, with 2 gates being added, as I mentioned earlier. There's a massive wall currently blocking out a good chunk of the concourse where construction is taking place, and if you've seen one of my older videos flying from this concourse, you'd remember that just behind this wall would have been an escalator down to the lower level gates that were once used by Commute Air, who had a hub in Albany from 2001 to 2005. It's currently a really great time at Albany Airport as various new routes have and continue to be added. Some recent examples include Avelo Airlines to Concord and Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, American Airlines adding service to Dallas, and starting later in 2025, new services to Sarasota from both Allegiant and Southwest, along with a new Southwest route to Nashville. Southwest operates from Concourse C using gates C2 and C3, while Avelo uses gate C1, which at one point was used by Frontier until they ended service to Albany in 2022. The gates have plenty of seating and power outlets, along with a little restaurant in the back. Tonight's flight will be Southwest 391 to Chicago Midway. I'm a little excited because, to my knowledge, this is my first time since 2004 flying into Midway. At that time, I was just a few months old, and we had flown an ATA 757-200 there from San Francisco, moving to the US mainland from Hawaii. And to make this occasion even more special, I checked my flight after clearing security, only to see that California One would be flying us tonight. Now, California One wasn't always a 737-800. In fact, the original California One was a 737-300 that wore the livery from 1995 until its retirement in 2017. Then, the livery was transferred to a 737-700 which bore the livery until May 2023. It was then in July 2023 that November 8653 Alpha, our 738 here, became the new and current California One. This evening, I was boarding with position B3. Crazily enough, Southwest is getting rid of boarding positions and open seating later this year. That means passengers will have to pay to reserve seats on Southwest, which I personally am not happy about. Our aircraft tonight has the older cabin, which is still nice and comfortable, and enjoying open seating while it lasts, I selected 20F for this flight over to Midway. On the seatback, you can expect a tray table as usual and a seat pocket with the safety card and snacks menu. The seat pitch is a solid 32 inches, so it's better than American and United, and I didn't have any issues. Southwest is gradually installing in-seat power across its fleet, but this aircraft has yet to be retrofitted.
Forward exit doors, 4 avoiding window exits, 2 exit doors in the back, signs up ahead and lights on the floor lead to the exits. In the event of evacuation, follow flight attendant commands and leave everything. Should Southwest Airlines become Southwest Cruise Lines, Carnival's new competitor, use the life vest underneath your seat, pull on the red strap to open the container and remove the pouch, remove the vest from the pouch and show them the safety information card. Toss that vest over your head, wrap the black strap around your waist, buckling in the front, and pull on that. Sorry folks, also forgot to mention the most important thing. The Wi-Fi during the de-icing phase of the aircraft will be shut off momentarily.
Earlier on, an announcement was made that the onboard Wi-Fi would be temporarily deactivated during the de-icing process. But the reality is that the Wi-Fi was never working during the flight and the crew never addressed it. Not a big deal though, but I can imagine that it was a letdown for some people. Snack service as usual came in 2 parts. First with drink orders, for which I took a Diet Coke, and then snacks, which were these little pretzels that actually tasted really good. Aside from looking out the window and trying to nap a little, which didn't really work, the flight was uneventful and soon it was time for descent into Midway. Tonight's approach brought us over Northwest Indiana and Lake Michigan before turning base right near the shoreline and coming right past landmarks like Soldier Field, McCormick Place, and Wintrust Arena for landing on runway 22 left.
behalf of this flight crew and all of Southwest Airlines, welcome to Chicago Midway, Illinois.
So I booked this ticket rather last minute, about 2 or so weeks in advance. Therefore, the original one-way ticket price was around $192, but with a $100 voucher that I had with Southwest, I only paid just under $92. The flight itself was great, and even cooler that it was on a special livery plane. I do think it is a shame that Southwest is eliminating open seating later this year, because that's one of the things that made them so unique. But from a business perspective, the airline's investors are pushing it to boost profitability, which it will be able to do so by charging for seats, and especially premium seats, which it is starting to offer with its new cabins. So at the end of the day, it is just business, but unfortunately this might deter me from flying Southwest in the future, unless they happen to be significantly cheaper than their competitors. But let me know, what do you think about these changes, and would you continue to fly Southwest despite them? Now, as soon as the seatbelt sign went off, of course everybody was in a mad dash to get off the plane, especially those with connecting flights. But the minutes went by and the door never opened. Eventually, after about 15 to 20 minutes, an announcement was made that the B11 jetway was broken and that everyone would have to be reseated so we could push back and get towed into the neighboring gate, B9. It's crazy to think that we were on the plane for another 45 to 50 minutes after landing, just waiting to get off. I don't know how many people made their connecting flights afterward, but thankfully everyone who had a connection was allowed to disembark first. At last, we are off the plane and welcome to Midway, which isn't that horrible of an airport. I mean, there's a lot of parallels that I could make with Dallas Love Field. But my journey isn't over, because my next order of business was to rush over to the CTA station to catch the Orange Line downtown. Of course, this was my first time ever going to this station, and it felt a lot farther of a walk than I'm used to at O'Hare when getting to the Blue Line station. The walk from my gate to the Orange Line here at Midway took just under 10 minutes, so not horrible, but it definitely felt a lot longer. And initially I thought I was cooked because I had a 9:33 train to catch from Union Station. It was 8:40 by the time I reached the Orange Line, and my Apple Maps said that the next train wasn't for another half hour. So you can imagine it was a massive relief when just after a few minutes, a train pulled into the station and we departed shortly after. Unlike the journey from O'Hare to downtown, which is around 45 minutes, Midway's a lot closer, so the travel time downtown is around 20. Eventually, I made it to Union Station with plenty of time to spare. My plan here was to take the Metro BNSF line to Naperville, where I'd meet with my friends who I went to New York with originally, and we'd all go back to Champaign from there. So we're gonna end the video here. Thank you very much for watching this crazy trip, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for lots more on the way soon, but until next time, take care, stay safe, and see you later.